My name is Marika, and I'm a visual communication designer, and I'm a part of the wonderful eazyBI team for almost a year and a half already. Another thing, I really like to ride my bicycle. And I seek to do things that I'm a little bit afraid of. And that's probably is the main reason why I crossed the Americas on a bicycle a few years ago, and recently signed up for a couple of ultra endurance races on a bike. And today I'll tell you a story about a bicycle race in the Atlas Mountains in Morocco, and what it has to do with data, dots, and data visualizations and storytelling. But I have to start with a really important question. What do dots, snails, and omelets have in common? Any guesses? All right, probably you'll find the answer in the few chapters of today's adventure I'm going to tell you. So the first one is a bit about the race. The next is, let's zoom in a little bit at the pointy end of the race. I'll tell you why every dot has a story. Then we will zoom a bit more to a dot at the back of the pack, which is me. And we'll reach the finish line. So about the race. The Atlas Mountain Race is a fixed route, unsupported, and a single-stage off-road cycling race. And it starts in Marrakesh, crosses the Moroccan Atlas Mountains, crosses then the Anti-Atlas, and the finish is in Essaouira at the coast of the Atlantic Ocean. The clock does not stop, and there are no prizes, so it's just for fun. It is a race, but first and foremost, it is an adventure. So probably at first I have to tell what does it mean actually to ride unsupported. It's not like Tour de France. But self-supported means that you completed the race entirely under your own steam, using your own equipment and without any outside assistance. And when things get tough, you get through them yourself. When things break, you fix them. When you get lost, you make yourself unlost. There are no organized food and rest stops. There are no hotels, anything. So it's up to every rider where they refuel and how much water and food they carry. So that's my setup, roughly. And also, yeah, you have to carry sleep gear. And the temperatures can range from plus 20 to, in the night, from plus 20 to, and drop up to like a few degrees below zero. But most likely, yeah, you will sleep in a sleeping bag on a hard, rocky ground, if you will sleep at all. And for a comparison, that's the winner's bike. And Justinus, he was even carrying an inflatable pillow. So that's a bit of a luxury. So the race for the dot watchers at home looks like this. And the length is 1,337 kilometers, which is roughly the distance from here, where we are, to some pizzeria in Naples, as the crow flies in a straight line. So the ascent is roughly four Everests, and what goes up must come down. So also those roughly 4 Everests we go down. And since this is not a leisurely vacation ride, although I did it on my vacation, there is a 198-hour time limit, which is 8 days and 6 hours. Some more numbers. So this is like this year, there were 228 riders, 208 of them were men and 20 women. And also there are 2 categories. You can ride solo or you can ride in a pair. And this is the finishers rate. So there were 138 finishers and 90 people scratched or DNF. I'm one of them. Spoiler alert. So the timeline, I'll show quickly the winners' times. So this is the fastest men's rider, just under 4 days. The fastest women's rider, fastest pair. And as there is a cut-off time, so that's the time of the last finisher. But the very, very last finisher was this one, like a bit just over the time. But yeah, he did it. So let's zoom in at the dots at the pointy end. How to finish a race in less than 4 days, such a race. It means that you don't only have to be physically fit, also mental strength is important, and you preferably you want that nothing on your bike breaks. But if it breaks, yeah, you know how to fix it. So actually the race mostly is won or lost when you are not pedaling. So it's all the other things that are happening when you're dealing with all the other elements besides pedaling, like getting food, finding water. It's a tactical game of sleep, etc. So I picked two first men's riders and two first women's. It's for a comparison. So efficiency is the key. We see that the small difference between the two riders is just under 4 hours. So what makes this difference? There's some data about break time. So break time is the stop time, which is recorded, stop time that is more than 4 hours. So it means rest or you sleep. And we see that the Justinas and Ulrich, they didn't really bother sleeping too much in the whole race. And the stop time total, it looks like this. So we see like Ulrich stopped only 1 hour and 10 minutes in the whole race. It's incredible. But how come Ulrich didn't cross the finish first? So probably it has to do something with the moving speed. We also see like it's not too much of a difference. But the key is the average speed, and that includes also the stop time. So efficiency, once again. But do we know, like winner's time is a fact, but do we know the story of their ride by just looking at these graphs? And data are a fact, but how do we make sense of all that? So actually the finish line was a bit of a drama. There is one more rider, Drikus from Namibia. He was also racing Justinas for the first place, but he scratched around 100 kilometers from the finish line due to heat exhaustion. So that was, a bit of a drama. What we don't see is the context and the personal perspective and the challenges. Like, for example, the dealing with the heat or winds. There was a wind warning we got on our phones. Or the desert as getting water and food, or like navigational issues. Like you see the number 167. I met David later on the route, and he was so devastated. It was the first night, and this was the stretch done in the dark, and he was so devastated of doing 80 extra kilometers, and it's like it's ups and downs. So there are also elements like encounters with stray dogs or a swarm of bees. And there can be mechanicals. This is like 5 AM chain issues I had, or some overslept alarms, and also physical fatigue, and that can even lead to a crash or illness. There were stories also like that as well. We also don't see encounters with locals. The camaraderie with other riders, and all the tagines and omelets and Coca-Colas the riders consumed every day. That would be an interesting statistic, like how many omelets did like everyone ate. Yeah, or all the emotions you get from views like this, riding early in the morning. It's an emotional boost. So let's stop for a quick break from the race, and I'd like to share 3 examples of data visualizations that tell a story about data more in a human context. So the first one is this flowchart made by Charles Minard, and it represents Napoleon's disastrous attempt to invade Russia. And it shows, the temperatures, the distances, the amounts of troops, and you could really see a story there. Overall, this attempt was a carnage. The loss of troops were due to cold temperatures and of course, other elements. But I think this is a great example of data storytelling. The second one is from Giorgia Lupi. She is an informational designer, and her work is advocating for data humanism. And for more than 3 years, she's been suffering with long COVID. And to make sense of everything that's happening with her, she started counting, categorizing, making visuals. In that way to make, trying to make the deal with her pain and to understand what's happening. So she tracked her symptoms and doctor's appointments and tracked everything in a huge spreadsheet. And this graph, which was printed and also online, it has already led to more awareness, more understanding, and more funding for this global healthcare crisis. And it's simply because many people resonate with this illness and the symptoms. It's about us people. And the third one is maybe not so good example of, but it has to be shown, is data visualization the right medium to show human tragedy. There's an article also about COVID from 2021, and 500,000 deaths in the US. And they made this infographic and showed every of these every of these 500,000 people as dots. So to their relatives, friends, and co-workers, they are person. To a chart, they are dot. So people as data points can be dehumanizing, and the graph creates less compassion, empathy, and emotion, after all. And the graph doesn't really reveal these individual experiences. And also the context is really important. For example, this graph is shown on the front page with all the other news, like the sports news and something about boredom and the context. So let's get back to the race and zoom in to the back of the pack. So there were 228 stories of the race. I can fully account of what happened in my adventure. Let's drill in. So I picked one day of my ride. So this is from Afred to Tasnacht, roughly 140 kilometers. See the gradient, the elevation. Not really much of a story, right? Let's add some more information about time. Yeah, you see, my stop time that day was longer than Justina's, the winner's time for the whole race. But yeah, why was that? It's a fun fact. We can add some more data to understand how the day actually went. So yeah, the temperatures ranged from +5 to +40. And there was, even in the news, there was a heat wave alert. So that's not ideal for a person from the north riding a bike in a desert. Yeah, let's turn on the dark mode. Yeah, some parts of the route was covered in the nighttime, and it also navigation in nighttime also has some challenges. Like sometimes the road looks like this. Yeah, that's basically all you see. You have your head torch and you have your GPS device, and the trail just disappears, and you just follow the screen, like where it leads. Or the road can just be an empty riverbed. You have to cross the rocks. We can add some more information, for example, about resupply points. Yeah, where you can get food and water. Sometimes there's some roadside magic. I was riding up there, climbing some hill after the second resupply, after the second dot, which was the second resupply spot. And I was thinking to myself, why didn't I get a bottle of Coke? I really, really want a Coca-Cola now. And you know, the road goes up and up and up. And after a couple of turns, there was this van. It's like, and yeah, a guy selling coffee, snacks, water, and Coke. So, so yeah, I mean, be careful what you wish for. It can come true really soon. It was a really nice stop. And of course, omelets. So, yeah, you can also get the jeans if you were one of the first riders, because for the last riders, there's not the jeans left anymore. So, but there are always omelets. Another data I had was like how much calories I spent. So that day, my GPS device showed this number. And yeah, I calculated I would need to eat around 27 omelets to get this energy. I ate only 2. Yeah, another part of the story is meeting other riders, and I have to introduce you to a rider, the 229th rider, which is this little guy. Yeah, this is on this map. You see the dots, and also you see a snail. And snail is the minimum allowed time you have to go, like to make it in order to make it to the finish line in time before the cutoff time. So the snail does not stop. It doesn't sleep. It just moves all the time. So if you are ahead of the snail, that's good. If you are behind the snail, it's not so good. So, for example, I was enjoying my omelet here, and the snail was already climbing up the climb of the day. Yes, you see, this is my battle with the snail. Yeah, I slept for a few hours, and then the snail overtook me and tried to catch it. Meeting others is other riders. It's also an emotional boost, and it kind of creates during the nighttime, especially when you see a taillight in the distance. It's like you are a Pac-Man on a mission. Like you want to catch it. There is someone else. You are not alone in this dark nothingness. So yeah, that day I met Kat there. I met also 3 other riders, Will, Owen, and Rokas, and we were exchanging leapfrogging all the time until the town, until the end. Yeah, the snail was also with us. And yeah, we got to the town together, but like 30 kilometers before the town. We stopped at the crossroads. It's really dark, but well, it was really dark. And yeah, we just laid on the ground at the roadside and looked at the stars, and we were just so tired. And the town was still 30 kilometers ahead. And Will, at one point, he's saying, "Yeah, I heard there's a pizza place there." Well, there wasn't. But it was a really, really good motivation, you know, to cover the last 30 kilometers. And while we were sleeping there, some two locals were passing us by. And between us five, we were there. We speak like 3 words of French, no Arabic. But we could understand that they are asking, like, are you okay? You know? And Owen said, "Yeah, fatigué. And then just like, it's okay. Yeah, we understood each other. Like, we are fine." And then, yeah, they it's okay. But yeah, of the tiredness and everything, yeah, we should look at another number. What is the total hours from the start? And it also, yeah, the fatigue just grows. So by every day, the more days you are on the road, the more tired you are. So we're reaching the finish line. Yeah, a couple of things to get. Yeah, in this vast landscape of the Atlas Mountains, I often got the feeling I'm just a tiny, insignificant dot in the whole landscape. But yeah, there's always a story. Every single of these dots, they have a story, or lines, or charts, reports, pie charts, everything. Data and numbers, they are a good starting point for discussion. But when zooming in, and dots become a source of curiosity, they become relatable. They're human stories. Yeah, because behind data sets, there are humans. Little details add personality and a point of view. Yeah, if you add some contextual, anecdotal moments, imperfect details, or more qualitative data, it helps to relate to the topic or story more. It creates empathy and evokes emotions, and also creates curiosity. Visual narrative provides a significant context to a data story. Yeah, through visual tools, there can be various perspectives on the same data. It's a question what to show, what to leave out, or perhaps the data doesn't need to be translated in a data visualization at all. Yeah, and also what can be read in the empty spaces. And this seems like really simple because data visualization is, of course, communication, but sometimes it's forgotten. And like the story when we met the locals and we didn't speak the same language, we can communicate in other simple ways, but we understood each other. And yeah, a good visualization gives the overview of the topic quickly, but it also should give an opportunity to zoom in and explore it in more depth. So returning to the question I asked at the beginning, I hope you got the answer now somewhere in between the lines. So thank you.